Good evening. You're watching Plate Speak with me, Poonam Burde. Until last year, Sandeshkhali was an indescript village that not many had heard of in this country. That changed in 2024 for unfortunate reasons. Several women hit the streets in protest over allegations of sexual assault, of extortion and of land grab. The man at the center of all those allegations was Sheikh Shahjahan. He was also the one who was accused of instigating an attack on a team of ED officials that was there in Sandeshkhali in January this year to question him. He is now behind bars. He is going to be in CBI custody in a few minutes from now. The process of handover from the state police to the CBI is happening even as we speak. This after the High Court in Calcutta transferred the probe to the central agency, showing no faith in the state administration. The unrest spread from an island to the mainland. Allegations of tribals' land being taken away, a fear of alienating the women vote bank, and a relentless opposition are perhaps the many factors that force the Trinamool Congress government's hand. So is the Mamata Banerjee government on a back foot now? On the face of it, they may brazen it out and they say that they've done their job well. But are they countering the narrative credibly and effectively? Now the showdown continues over Sheikh Shahjahan's custody. The High Court had set a deadline for the West Bengal Police to hand him over to the CBI today at 4 o'clock. It's 6 right now and the handover process is still on. This after the police yesterday refused to hand him over, citing a matter that was pending before the Supreme Court. Now remember, yesterday the High Court came down heavily on the Trinamool Congress government, citing the pitiable state of affairs in the state, making its strongest ground for the bench to transfer the case against outside of the state to the CBI. The High Court, in its strongest observation yesterday against the state government, highlighted how the state police had underplayed the entire situation. They did not register serious charges even though an ED official was attacked on the head with a stone. Minutes after that verdict came out, the TMC government moved the apex court. They challenged the High Court order and stated that the state police acted in the right time. The minute their hands were untied, we acted, is what the state government said. The High Court yesterday said that it's a pitiable state of affairs in West Bengal based on the allegation of the Enforcement Directorate, who cited that they were not even given the copy of the FIR of the Jan 5th incident. The Trinamool Congress, on the other hand, maintained that they launched the investigation with utmost seriousness, claiming that the state police could not be entrusted to carry out an investigation due to the influence of Sheikh Shahjahan. The High Court transferred the probe to the CBI. Countering that order, the Mamata Banerjee government moved the top court, alleging that the order was arbitrary, it was perverse and it was illegal. But the Supreme Court this morning refused any urgent hearing, giving no relief to the state government. Now, while the investigating agencies are fighting over Sheikh Shahjahan, the political ramifications of this issue are quite clear. Prime Minister Modi addressed a public rally in Barasat in West Bengal's North 24 Parganas district today. It's the same district as Sandeshkhali. He warned the TMC that the storm of Sandeshkhali will reach every part of West Bengal. Let's take a look at the highlights of what he said and his fiercest attack perhaps against Mamata Banerjee. He said that women of Bengal were tortured under TMC rule. Sandeshkhali incidents will put anyone to shame. It's a grave sin, is what the Prime Minister came out and said. He said the TMC failed to protect women. Not only that, they also shielded the tormentor. The Prime Minister went on to say that the TMC trusted its accused leader but not the women of Sandeshkhali who were making these allegations. He then alleged that the TMC leaders did atrocities on the women of West Bengal and that is why it was a blot, something that the BJP will reverse, promising justice to these women. Now, women of West Bengal have been voting for Mamata Banerjee with all their might since 2011. They form her core voter base. Mamata has nurtured the women's vote bank by giving tickets to a large number of female candidates, especially in the last Lok Sabha elections. There are several schemes like free delivery of ration at the doorstep, monthly cash incentives to 1.6 crore households that have kept her voter base as well. Today, in fact, she also did decide to hike the salaries for Anganwadi workers, for Asha workers. But let's take a look at the figures at where the voting pattern stands at. Here's a look of how women have voted for the TMC versus the BJP over the years. 2016 and 2021 were the two assembly elections. 2019 was the Lok Sabha elections. 48%, 47%, 50%. So that has remained steady for the TMC, which means she definitely banks on this vote bank. Take a look at what the BJP is trying to do. In 2016 assembly elections, the BJP did not have a great presence in the state, so to say. They had only 3 seats in the assembly elections. 10% of women voters voted for the BJP back then. That increased to 38% in the 2019 Lok Sabha elections. Stayed pretty much the same, 37% in the assembly elections that followed. Now, the Prime Minister today declared that Mamata Banerjee was betraying Ma, Mati and Manush, the slogan that she coined. In Barasat, he vowed to protect the women of the country, of the women of the state. The pitch may be for the cause of women of Sandeshkhali, but no one can deny the political impact it might have. That is something that the BJP is eyeing as well. Given the trend in the last assembly elections for the state, unfortunately for the BJP, they may have gained from 2014 to 2019, but unfortunately for them, that did not translate in the 2021 Lok Sabha elections. Here's what exactly happened. For the BJP, women actually moved away, specifically poor women. Look at it. 52% voted for Trinamool Congress, whereas only 34% voted for the BJP. Lower class women, 55% for the Trinamool Congress, 33% for the BJP. The same goes for women across middle class and rich categories as well. 45% for the TMC, 40% for the TMC, 42% for the BJP. So there's a close fight there. But this is the gap that the BJP will now be trying to bridge. Looking at the figures, looking at what's at stake both for the 2024 Lok Sabha elections from the state of West Bengal, which sends 42 members of parliament, to the assembly elections that will happen 2 years from now. So looking at that and the Sandeshkhali showdown, is this going to be dictating the big clash of 2024 as far as Bengal goes? That's our big debate tonight.
गरीब, दलित, वंचित, आदिवासी परिवार की बहनों बेटियों के साथ टीएमसी के नेता जगह जगह अत्याचार कर रहे हैं। टीएमसी सरकार बंगाल की महिलाओं के गुनहगार को बचाने के लिए पूरी शक्ति लगा रही है।
State police, meaning West Bengal Police, would be sufficient to hold that the state police are totally biased and every attempt is being made to delay the investigation in order to protect the accused.
कि सीबीआई ईडी जितने भी यहाँ तैनात किया जाए, जिनके हाथ में सौंपा जाए जिम्मेवारी तफ्तीश की, बंगाल की जो पुलिस बल है वो कभी नहीं मदद करेगी।
President of West Bengal BJP, Sukanta Majumdar, joins us live here on this edition of Plain Speak. So thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. Why do you think the state government was hesitant in handing over Sheikh Shahjahan? Even now, 2 hours past the deadline set by the High Court, the handover process is still going on.
So this is the big question, because whole country is searching the answer of the question why Mamata Banerjee and her administration is so desperate to save Sheikh Shahjahan. Who is Sheikh Shahjahan? Is he a prominent political leader? Is he a social worker? No, nothing, but merely a criminal. So Mamata Banerjee, why, being a woman chief minister, after so many allegations of atrocities against the woman, Mamata Banerjee is trying to save Sheikh Shahjahan. Why? Is there any monetary connection between the Banerjee family or the Sheikh Shahjahan? Or is there any fear that if Sheikh Shahjahan opens his mouth, then something will come and a new Pandora box will open? That's why Mamata Banerjee is so desperate. And her administration is going so far to protect this a criminal.
Connections or not, whether they're shielding the criminal or not, the issue has come up now, says the TMC, because it's the BJP that's trying to gain political mileage out of it. What we've heard, the testimonies that we've heard from these women, we're given to understand that this has been going on for years together. So why bring it up now? Why make this such an issue is what the TMC asked right before elections.
This answer was already given by the women of Sandeshkhali in front of camera of all the national and the regional, that is the Bengali channels. Why? What they have said? What have they said? They have said that they have tried to register the complaint, but whenever they approach the Thana PS police station, the police administration present there, they have said to go to the Bhaijan and just do the adjustment. That was the view of the police station in Sandeshkhali. How can a common man, how can a common woman can resist this kind of atrocities. If police is not ready to help them, if police is acting in favor of the criminal who is performing the crime, how can the common civilian can register a complaint against him? Not only so, furthermore, when the MLA, local MLA was from CPM, I think 2011 to 2016, in that tenure, that MLA who was the CPM MLA from CPM, who actually registered, who have spoken all the allegations in the floor of assembly. So this is not the first time that you are hearing. Maybe media this time jumped over the whole thing, and that's why the whole thing came out, and now it is in front of the whole country. But several times it has been registered by the women, by the local MLA, but no one was ready to hear anything about Sheikh Shahjahan.
Sure. Now, but the TMC, sir, says that, all action was taken the minute their hands were untied by the High Court. Right after they said there is no stay on Sheikh Shahjahan's arrest, they tracked him down. He was arrested within days of that. The BJP does not agree, but the TMC says it's a job well done. But let's look at what the political ramifications of this are going to be. Now, women are seen to be traditional vote bank of the TMC. In fact, in the last elections, poor women actually moved away from the BJP as per the data that we have. Do you think that's now going to change?
Obviously, the women of the state now, they have understood that the Mamata Banerjee is not a well-wisher of the women of the state of West Bengal. If they have to follow the Mamata Banerjee, they have to compromise, and they have to do this kind of things, and they have to face atrocities from the local TMC leader. In different region of West Bengal, small Sandeshkhali already have been originated, and several Sheikh Shahjahan like people, they are moving and roaming around in different part of West Bengal. Now it is the time to restore the dignity of the women of Bengal, and that's why women of this state, they have now ready to fight the atrocities of the TMC and as well as the Mamata Banerjee, the bad rule of Mamata Banerjee.
So you do see, sir, a political windfall for the BJP in the upcoming elections. Do you think that the BJP's tally is going to go up from 18 in the state for the number of members of parliament back in 2019 to now in 2024?
Obviously, I can assure you that we will cross the data that we table data from the last that is 2019 data. We will cross that figure and we will reach much more higher target.
Whether the voters of West Bengal, whether the women of West Bengal find merit in what the BJP is saying and the attack that the BJP is making against the TMC, we'll have to wait and watch. But Sukanta Majumdar, thank you so much for speaking with us here on this edition of Plain Speak. Let me open this up to the panelists that join us. Neeti Jain, spokesperson of the BJP, Tausifur Rahman, spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress, Pratim Ranjan Bose, columnist, and Rashid Kidwai, senior journalist, join us on this broadcast. Let me begin by asking Tausifur Rahman, sir. 24 hours ago, the High Court set a deadline for the CBI to take over, for Sheikh Shahjahan to be handed over. That still hasn't happened. Now we're 2 hours after the deadline that was set today as well.
See, first of all, this whole Sandeshkhali thing was designed, and I've told you before, was for they wanted to politicize, they wanted to make a story out of Sandeshkhali. But yes, when the women matters came up, I mean, there was no negotiate on the women's dignity. But you need to understand, right after Abhijit Ganguly said, Abhijit Ganguly said only the CBI can investigate the Sandeshkhali case. We see that the case get transferred into the CBI. Hence, all things have fallen in place to show that the BJP was behind this, and all this while we were merely misusing the central agencies. Who was misusing the central agencies? BJP. I mean, we all were aware of ED and CBI's pace of investigation. When they are strangling the number of cases, which was very old, they couldn't complete that. How do you want me to believe CBI right now? We don't want to believe CBI or ED. So that's why the case should be transferred to Supreme Court. And that's a democracy. You cannot stop us, right? I
Sure.
don't
So
think
you
we
say
are
you
doing
don't.
anything which is unfair.
Sure. So you say you don't have faith in what has happened because there are aspersions that were cast or comments that were made by a former judge who now is keen on joining politics. But he's not the judge who passed.
We want a quick winner.
But he's not. But
No,
he's
we
not
want
the
a quick
judge that
response.
passed this particular order. So are you casting aspersions, or are you saying that you do not have faith in any of the
No.
judges in the Calcutta High Court?
We did that. Earlier when Sandeshkhali case was started, he was the one who said कि ये सारे cases CBI को चले जाने चाहिए.
Sure,
I mean,
but
we
he's
have
not the one who
proof as
gave the
well.
order
But
yesterday.
again,
He's also not the one who has said that there should be no sympathy for Sheikh Shahjahan in the past. It's the same bench that has said that in the past, who yesterday came out and said that this should be given to the CBI because there seem to be lapses, there seem to be attempts to shield Sheikh Shahjahan.
it's a vice versa thing. This thing you can talk about opposite well as well, because the whole thing has been shattered, the whole thing has been politicized, so things can go opposite as well. Now, I'm not talking about yesterday's judgment, but yes, this needs to get hurry up. We want this investigation to go roll on. We don't want this investigation to go round
Absolutely, and this 24-hour delay is not helping that, and this 24-hour delay is not helping that cause.
And BJP will crash this case again and take my and stand in front of Narendra Modi कि देखिए हमें एक केस की जरूरत थी अभी तक नहीं हुआ. So that's why we want this case to go Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will take its own course.
Sure.
It is absolutely fair.
And if that's how justice is ensured for the people, for the women of Sandeshkhali, then so be it, Neeti Jain. The point is that justice needs to be ensured. If there is no faith in the state police, if there is no faith in the Mamata Banerjee government, or if there's no faith in the BJP on the claims that they're making, as the TMC says, fair enough. Let an investigation happen independently. Let the Supreme Court monitor it.
You know, it is kind of unfortunate that the TMC spokesperson would say that we want no delay in this entire matter, but it took them 56 days to arrest a rapist. And they have been delaying for this entire matter to be transferred to the CBI. It has become a habit for TMC to say we do not believe the government, we do not believe any of the agencies, we do not believe the opposition, we believe, now we don't even believe the court. Beach mein they also said that the media was also taking sides. So basically, I don't understand this entire paranoia that we do not believe anybody.
Tawseefur Rahman, you had your time. Let Neeti Jain finish. I'll come back to you.
Sandeshkhali. We do not even believe the women in Sandeshkhali, but we believe this rapist who has been doing rounds. So earlier, Mamata Banerjee herself said that the Shahjahan Sheikh is completely innocent. The ED is after him. The women who are making these claims are BJP workers. So this entire paranoia that this TMC government is going ahead with, today they're talking about agencies. Once upon a time, Mamata Banerjee also said that Narendra Modi is not even my PM. So you completely don't believe anything that happens in this country, the institutions of this country, and that paranoia is yours alone. There is a protocol. The court has asked for this case to be handled to the CBI. You have gone to the Supreme Court. It is up to the court to accept this case or not. It's not up to you or me for the Supreme Court.
Sure, let's try and focus at the issue at hand. The issue at hand, Tawseefur Rahman, is this particular case and justice for these women.
Today it is about
justice for the ED officers who came under attack on January 5th as well. That is what we're talking about, which is why the police's conduct is under question.
Poonam, I want to answer in like 1 minute or 30 seconds. Please give me
Sure,
time.
go ahead.
First, Neeti ji said that they are so concerned that they did not arrest Sheikh Shahjahan. They were supporting and he was absconding till 55 days. I'm very proud of my Chief Minister, what she has done. I'm very proud of my state machineries, how they have worked. And at least Sheikh Shahjahan is been arrested right now. He's behind the bars. And the case is going on. We are dragging this whole thing to a Supreme Court. Where is Brij
That's
Bhushan?
only because the court said CBI could independently go and arrest. You did not want CBI to arrest him. That is why you went and arrested him for protecting him. इसमें अपनी छाती पीटने वाली कोई बात नहीं है. There is nothing to be proud of. You were protecting him then. You are protecting him now. There is nothing to be proud of. It took you 55 days to arrest him, and it was only after the High Court order, when the High Court said that the ED or the CBI could independently go and arrest Sheikh Shahjahan, that is when your police woke up. कि नहीं वहाँ तो दे नहीं सकते, so they went and arrested him.
Poonam, please.
Sure.
Sir, we have spoken about
Niti Jan and Tawsifur Rahman, let's bring this back. Let's bring this back to the subject at hand. Let's talk about Sheikh Shahjahan. Let's talk about Sandeshkhali. Let's talk about West Bengal. And I want to get in the other two
No one will be
panelists.
spared. What is Sheikh Shahjahan? Hai kya Sheikh Shahjahan? No one will be spared. He joined Trinamool Congress in 2013.
you tell us that.
TMC
You
has
have been
not empowered
protecting him ever
Sheikh
since.
Shahjahan. Okay,
Sure.
we came in
Arey,
power.
everybody
That's
is
exactly what
conspiring
everybody's trying to
against
ask.
him. He
Who is
must
Sheikh
be
Shahjahan?
somebody.
Why
Yeah,
does he
he
wield the
worked
cloud
hard.
that he did,
He
that no
brought him
FIRs
under
would be
the
filed
fire
against him,
for
that he
55
couldn't be
days.
tracked for 55 days?
He suspended Sheikh Shahjahan. Brij Bhushan has not been suspended.
After he was
He
arrested.
put Sheikh Shahjahan behind
Sheikh
bars.
Shahjahan was
Brij
suspended
Bhushan has
after
not
he was
been
arrested, sir. The allegations against him,
This is
the
what-
allegations
this is
against
what
him were there long
nonsense.
before that. The Chief Minister, in
We
fact, on
asked
the
the
floor of the
ED.
Assembly, even went on to defend him and
Poonam,
blame the
we asked
ED, the
ED
BJP
to
and the
cooperate
RSS.
with us. Poonam, we asked the ED to cooperate with us. Whenever you want to go to have a raid, it's not mandatory, I know that. But the state machineries want to help ED because every state have a sensitive area.
Sir, you
Sandeshkhali
studying the
Absolutely.
CBI cannot enter
Sure,
the state.
sure.
You
So
have
the
been
ED,
completely
sure.
against the entire
Niti Jan,
central
give me 1 second.
agencies.
Niti Jan, give me 1 second. Tawsifur Rahman, the ED team went there. There was an attack on them. You can visibly see two people bleeding from their head. There is no attempt to murder charge. There is no attempt to murder charge in the FIR. Writing charges were dropped. All serious allegations were dropped from the FIR, something that the High Court has also taken note of yesterday. Why shouldn't the police then be questioned?
We condemn. Poonam, we condemn. But why did the ED ask for a stay on investigation from the court on the 7th of February? Kahin to dal pe kala tha. Why they wanted a stay from the investigation? Why? If they were beaten up, if there was some injustice with the
Sir,
court people
because
coming
that
from
was
the
a
ED,
joint-
why they were asking
no,
for
Sure.
that
So-
was a joint-
Sure. So let's
There is
let's
something.
question the conduct. Let's question the conduct of everyone involved, but we also have to ask questions of the police of West Bengal because the TMC and the police of West Bengal is responsible for ensuring law and order is maintained for justice to be
Absolutely.
ensured. But let me get in the other two
Absolutely.
panelists. The other two panelists who've been patiently waiting on this as well. Pratim Ranjan Bose. The case may be about extortion, about sexual assault, about land grab. Sheikh Shahjahan may be in the midst of it, but there are political ramifications for it. We are just 2 months away from the Lok Sabha elections. The BJP, inadvertently or not, would be wanting to ride on this.
BJP will obviously try to ride on this. That is their legitimate right as opposition. But the fact must be remembered that this is actually a people's revolt of the nature of Lalgarh without the Maoists. That makes it even more important because there was an organized armed group that were leading that thing. And here some women did it. And what happened in Sandeshkhali is actually happening in many forms across Sundarban area and the two districts. And it is a shameful. I don't know how TMC is standing guard for that, but it is shameful just if you consider that private sluice gates, at hundreds of private sluice gates were in place in that area. The entire administration were handing gloves in letting it happen. And about the court judgment, if anyone has cared to read that judgment, it is one of the finest work of judgment I have gone through. There was particular and mention to the last detail why he is doing that. So it is just extremely, I should say, it is arrogant, and that arrogance TMC has to show for a clear political reason.
Poonam, we are not.
I don't want anyone to
Tawsifur
disturb me.
Rahman, this is the
Please,
first time Mr.
please.
Bose is speaking. He's been patiently waiting on for the last 20 minutes. Let him
Or
finish
in
his
all
point.
forums, TMC must not hijack all forums.
Sir, go ahead.
See, the political ramifications are are mainly two. One, we all know that there is limited democracy in the state and the democracy reduces as it goes into certain territories. What is sensitive area? What is sensitive area? Why should it be sensitive? It's a river island. Why should it be sensitive? There is no reason why it should be mentioned as sensitive. The reason is the vote is controlled by some people, vote and the political economy. They control it. You haven't seen people's mandate. There is no people's mandate in those areas. If that can be judged from the panchayat staff.
Sure.
You know which districts where, panchayat election is the ultimate proof of democracy, whether it is going down or not. Second thing is, please remember that ISF was accused in this case as well. It has, no one is talking about it. Now there is a fracture. I believe, that is why this government is making a show. They are probably trying to show to some people in the community that they are holding forth.
Sure.
But unfortunately, because who will control others? And this is the political side of the whole story that TMC is actually facing.
Sure.
And where BJP can gain.
Sure. Rashid Kidwai, it's not just about the BJP and the TMC, isn't it? The BJP and the Prime Minister is also making about the India alliance bloc. Now, the Congress and the TMC may not see eye to eye in the state, but they are still in alliance as a larger national picture. Is this something that could affect the chances of the India bloc as well? Is this something, or the silence of the India bloc partners, is that something that could cost the alliance?
Thank you, Poonam. Yes, indeed, it is going to cast some shadow because the Congress, particularly Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary and all, would not like to endorse, the TMC's stand, whether it is flawed or politically motivated, etc. There are so many elements, Poonam, of this debate that I was listening to, and it's actually very unfortunate. We need to have zero tolerance when it comes to crime against women. I mean, whether it's a state or any other state or at the center. See, this overt politicization of the entire process, if we say that, the police is not doing its work, then we are going to create a lot of problem. It's not just about Bengal, because law and order is a state subject and it's applicable to all. The CBI, comes in perhaps the framers of Indian Constitution and never envisaged this kind of, cat fight that is going on. We are seeing among political parties over things that should be seen purely in the ambit of law and law enforcement, rule of law, etc. So therefore, it is all a very problematic thing. Look at even the conduct of courts. We have highest respect for the court, but if judges start resigning from court or post retirement, start taking positions, political positions, it's going to create a lot of problem. See, that TMC has suspended him, and this is not to give a clean sheet to TMC. We have seen in other parts when there was the wrestling federation thing was going on. What happened to Brij Bhushan Singh? Is he going to get a ticket from Kaisarganj or not? So if we are talking about that, and the entire aspect of this, Shahjahan Sheikh's horrible conduct, and linking it to a particular community. This is not a conflict of any communal nature, because the accused come from diverse background.
Yes.
So this is all problematic thing. I'm saying that it's not. One should not see these things from political positions, and it being seen from political position. Therefore, a lot of problems are coming up.
But it's the timing that's important, Rashid Kidwai, isn't it? 30 seconds and I have to wrap this up. The timing really is important. It's right before elections. Whether you like it or not, there has to be gain for some, windfall for some others.
Yeah. So, Poonam, this entire aspect of, this mandate theory that somebody, Lakhimpur Kheri, somebody, wins election and therefore that person is, sort of innocent is problematic.
Sure. Sure.
Poonam, but if there was no election,
Poonam,
or just because there is an election, do we not stand up for these women or what they are going through? Should we just leave that topic just because the elections are approaching? I think that is the wrong way to look at this entire
elections
matter.
Or not, absolutely,
If
elections
these
or
are
not,
women,
if there are
somebody
questions
has
that
to
are being
stand.
raised of the law and order situation in any state of this country, those are questions that will be asked. In fact, these visuals that are coming in live from Kolkata now. We're given to understand that it looks like Sheikh Shahjahan is finally now being handed over to the CBI by the state police. Remember, he was given 10-day custody by court to the police, 5 days of which have already lapsed, which is why the CBI wanted immediate custody. Another 24 hours lapsed since then. Now 4 more days are left before he's back in court. For the next 4 days, Sheikh Shahjahan is going to be in CBI custody. That's what we're gathering, and that's the latest that is coming to the fore from West Bengal. Unfortunately, I have to leave it at that, and I thank all my panelists for joining us here on this broadcast and sharing their perspective. Whether this becomes a big political flashpoint ahead of elections or not, whether there is windfall for some or loss for some, and can the TMC, the state government, credibly counter this kind of narrative? Those questions still remain. We'll continue with that focus here on CNN News 18. Before now, it's time for a quick break on this edition of Plain Speak. On the other side, there is a super exclusive conversation that we bring to you. My colleague Shivani Gupta speaks with author and historian Vikram Sampath on his new book, Waiting for Shiva.
in association with.
Today, he will be in West Bengal. Today, he will be inaugurating a lot of projects. Can you tell us more about it?
Well, the Prime Minister, in fact, will be giving to the state of Bengal development projects to the tune of 14,000 to 15,000 crores. That also includes the first under-river metro, which is going to be inaugurated in a bit from now. And if sources are to be believed, then Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also board that first metro and take a ride on that metro, like he does on multiple occasions. He actually, wants to feel like the common man and wants to experience the common man really experiences. So that's the difference between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and several other VIPs and VVIPs that we've seen in the past. Having said that, today is a very, very special occasion as far as Bengal is concerned. The women folk are going to be the special guests invited to the Prime Minister's rally, which is taking place at Barasat, which is North 24 Parganas. Incidentally, it's the same district, Anjali, as West Sandeshkhali really falls in. So obviously, in the run-up to the Women's Day, which is on the 8th of March, the Prime Minister today is addressing a huge gathering here in Barasat, and of course, women from across the country will be connected through online process. Women from mandals across the country will be connected online. That's the arrangement that the BJP Mahila Morcha has made as part of their push as far as the women agenda is really concerned. So the Prime Minister is expected to hit out at the TMC government failing to secure and provide safety to the women, and also he is going to highlight essentially as to what steps have been taken by his government to empower women, especially the development projects that have been aimed at women. Various initiatives have been taken, so women have been sent to the space, women have been sent to the armed forces, women have been given all kind of empowerment by giving them benefits of central government schemes, allowing them Mudra Yojana, allowing them the Lakpati Didi being the latest armor which is come out of the Modi quiver, and also a lot of other things that have really happened. So obviously the Prime Minister is going to make a lot of mention of that as well, and say that this is the government which has been then power for the last 10 years and has done women empowerment in its true sense and not lip service. And obviously he's going to hit out at Mamata Banerjee, because remember in 2021 the one vote bank which actually stood between Modi's BJP and of course Mamata Banerjee were the women, and can the women really strongly rally behind Modi? That is possibly going to be the biggest difference that is going to really be made to the 2024 Lok Sabha elections as far as Bengal is really concerned, because Bengal is said to be a land of the women where the women are really worshipped like goddesses and of course empowered a lot as well. But what we've seen pan out in Sandeshkhali, like Dr. Chatterjee was mentioning, has been an incident of shame, and nobody would ever want to have a repeat of such an incident. So we can expect the Prime Minister to make a very, very fiery speech. Remember, this is his third rally in less than a week's time. He again comes back to Bengal on the 9th. So probably the Prime Minister using his star power as far as Bengal is concerned, because the BJP completely relying on his star power to get through those 42 seats.
In a major development, the Calcutta High Court ordered the transfer of the probe into an attack on Enforcement Directorate officials in Sandeshkhali on January 5th from the West Bengal Police to the CBI. The High Court made scathing remarks on the state police, saying that the Bengal Police failed to take any action on time. The West Bengal government has moved the Supreme Court challenging the Calcutta High Court's order. The state government is seeking to quash High Court's order and also allow state police to investigate this particular incident. Now, sources have informed CNN News 18 that CID has refused to hand over the custody and documents of Shah Jahan Sheikh to the CBI. CID told CBI that the matter is pending before the Supreme Court and thereby they will not hand over the documents as of now. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Modi is in Bengal today and will be addressing a rally in North 24 Pargana district. In fact, he will also launch a slew of projects in the state, and West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee in all likelihood will be skipping this event of Prime Minister and will instead make an important announcement for women.
Once again, our publicity master Prime Minister is coming to our state of West Bengal. He will be talking about women empowerment, Nari Shakti. But he will never say why amongst 195 declared BJP candidates, they are having only 14% female. He will not utter a single word regarding Manipur, where the women are being raped and they are forced to do parade nakedly. He won't utter a single word regarding Madhya Pradesh, regarding Uttar Pradesh, where several rape cases are taking place every day. He will be talking about corruption sitting by the side of Shubhendu Adhikari, who has been seen taking money in front of camera, whose name is very much there in the CBI. He will be talking about corruption, but he won't say that the biggest financial scam of nowadays is Modi Adani scam, whose amount is nearly $120 billion.
Ji, Lok Sabha Member of Parliament is with me. प्रधानमंत्री आज आ रहे हैं, क्या मैसेज लेके आएंगे बंगाल की महिलाओं के लिए?
देखिए, आज देश में जैसा महिला लोगों के लिए जैसा विकास चल रहा है पूरा देश में, प्रधानमंत्री जी खुद अपना हाथों से महिला को आगे बढ़ाया है। तो पश्चिम बंगाल एकदम रिवर्स चल रहा है। तो पश्चिम बंगाल में जो महिला के ऊपर जो चल रहा है, महिला जो सुरक्षित नहीं है, उनको विचार देने के लिए आ रहे हैं। और हम लोग चाहते हैं कि ये विकास में पश्चिम बंगाल का महिला भी शामिल हो जाए।
ममता बनर्जी भी कुछ अनाउंसमेंट करने वाली महिलाओं के लिए, आपको लगता है आफ्टर थॉट है उनका?
देखिए, संदेशखाली का जो इंसिडेंट हुआ है, ये पूरा सुनामी हो गया, पूरा पश्चिम बंगाल बोलिए पूरा देश में हो गया है। संदेशखाली का महिला लोग चाहते हैं कि लक्ष्मी भांडार नहीं चाहते हैं, लक्ष्मी का सम्मान चाहते हैं। ममता बनर्जी 500 रुपये में पश्चिम बंगाल में नारी का सम्मान बेच रहे हैं।
ममता बनर्जी, अभिषेक बनर्जी कहते हैं कि वो जो जैसे लॉ है, वो लॉ इज टेकिंग इट्स ओन कोर्स, बट सीबीआई ने जब कस्टडी मांगी शेख शाहजहां की, तो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट सुप्रीम कोर्ट चली गई।
एक्चुअली शेख शाहजहां को ममता बनर्जी अपने घर में रख दिया है, क्योंकि उसको प्रोटेक्शन पूरा दे रहे हैं, क्योंकि उसको 30% वोट का राजनीति चाहिए, उसको महिला को सम्मान नहीं चाहिए। इसलिए वो चाहते नहीं है कि सीबीआई के हाथ में शेख शाहजहां को उठा दे। लेकिन पूरा पश्चिम बंगाल का महिला लोग, पूरा देश का महिला लोग चाहते हैं जैसा शेख शाहजहां ने हिंदू महिला को खोज के जैसा हिंदू महिला का सम्मान किया है, उसको गैंगरेप भी हुआ है। हिंदू महिला लोग सब लोग चाहते हैं कि शेख शाहजहां को फांसी का सजा मिले और सीबीआई हो।
एक आखिरी सवाल है, क्योंकि इलेक्शन आने वाले कुछ ही हफ्तों में, आपको क्या लगता है कि इस बार महिलाएं जो है बंगाल में परिवर्तन करेंगी, दीदी को छोड़ के मोदी जी का साथ देंगी?
बहुत बड़ा परिवर्तन अभी भी दिखा रहे हैं, सब लोग देख ही रहे हैं। और आप देखेंगे कि लोकसभा में सब लोग आशीर्वाद, महिला लोगों का आशीर्वाद मोदी जी के ऊपर रहेगा।
Thank you so much for talking to us. Payal Mehta for CNN News 18.
And CNN News 18's editor is Kamalika Sengupta is joining us on this story. Kamalika, very good morning to you. So all eyes are on the Prime Minister, who will be addressing a rally in West Bengal. What all is the Prime Minister's plan for today?
Definitely, it's a very, very significant rally today here. Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
All right, we'll try to re-establish that connection with Kamalika. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to address a rally in West Bengal's North 24 Pargana district. And in fact, he's also slated to launch a slew of projects in West Bengal today, which also includes underwater rail project. Now, this comes amid the Sandeshkhali controversy that has been going on in West Bengal. And the TMC government has been facing the heat of the people on that particular case. And now CNN News 18's Payal Mehta is also joining us on this story. Payal, so what is Prime Minister's plan for today? He will be in...
Good evening, everyone. Many thanks for coming here. It seems like a very stupendous response to this book, which I think is very, very timely. Vikram has done absolutely kudos in launching this book just about now, because as a news person, I can tell you that this is what we're talking about virtually every day. So first of all, a big round of applause to all of you for being here. It's so good to have so many faces, young and of all hues. Many thanks, Sadhguru Madhusudan Saiji, for being here as well and gracing us with your presence. Vikram, it's a little bit painful, to be honest, to read everything the city has gone through, and wave after wave after wave. Vikram, a few words about, how was it like for you to, collect all of that history and then also see how devout the faith of the population was. They may not understand everything, for example, what Sadhguru is talking about. They may not even know all the lingas you have to go to, should go to, or how they came up. Even the historical facts of how the temple was brought down multiple times, they somehow have faith. But a few words about the painful history, but also, juxtapositioned with the resilience that has been shown over the years.
Sure, Shivani, and I'll just add, or have the audacity to add something to what Sadhguruji has just said. The Puranas actually mention that anybody who goes to Kashi, their feet should be just cut off, so that the feet doesn't take you and run away from Kashi, because you've had the rarest opportunity to go to the place which gives you the best lottery ticket of salvation. And so why would you give that away to go away elsewhere and migrate. So it's quite a macabre kind of a description. But that was the importance, which was also pan-Indian, which today, in today's context, I think it becomes very important, where we talk of North-South divide. South India did not think so, North India is different, and all of that. So when the first wave of iconoclasm or breakage of all these temples and structures happened in 1194 in Kashi, with Qutbuddin Aibak's armies ravaging the place, and Hasan Nizami, one of the contemporaries, he chronicles that in just that one invasion, 1,000 temples in Kashi were destroyed, and all the wealth and gold and everything that was there in the city was taken away on 18 camels and 300 elephants. But this was 1194. But just a few decades later, in 1212, hardly 20 years after that, you had a Bengali ruler, Vishwarupa of the Sena dynasty, coming to Varanasi, and right in the heart of the city establishes a pillar on which it is written that this city belongs to Vishweshwar. So he did not have the wherewithal to rebuild the temple, because it was the height of the Delhi Sultanate, and so at least he comes and marks it, saying this is our place. And within a few decades, so Eastern India was so, invested with this. A few decades later, you had a Gujarati businessman called Seth Vastupala, who donates close to 1 lakh rupees those days. We're talking of 1240, 1250, to rebuild this grand shrine. And so the shrine comes up within 40-50 years of its demolition, first demolition. And from our own state, Karnataka, we had this Hoysala ruler, Veera Narasimha III, and the Hoysala dynasty was itself going through so much tumult at that time. Despite that, he donates an entire village called Hebbale, and the inscription clearly says, all the proceeds, the revenue that will come from this village which I donate, that could be used by the pilgrims to go to Kashi to pay the jizya tax.
Which was put on
Hindu pilgrims. So Hindu pilgrims, if they had to go to visit their own sites, you had to pay a tax to the Sultanate. So to take care of that, a Karnataka ruler is contributing to that. So you had the west, the east and the south. They didn't think that this is Awadh, this is Uttar Pradesh, how does it matter to me? The language is different. It's nothing to do with my local, culture and language and all of that. There was a common sense of what Sadhguru mentioned, that this is the place where I'm going to get moksha. When all these iconoclastic waves happened, all the Brahmins, and Kashi being the center of Sanskrit scholarship, most of them started migrating away to South India for safety. And 4 Brahmin families, Mauna, Bhatta, Shesha and Dharmadikari, they overcome all these challenges, face the troubles, go and settle down in Kashi to start reviving that Sanskrit scholarship there. And Narayan Bhatta comes from that same dynasty. And interestingly, Shivani, Narayan Bhatt's grandson was this man called Gaga Bhatt, who was the one who created the entire rituals for Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's Rajyabhishek. Because by then you didn't know what is a Hindu Raja, what are the rituals for a Hindu Rajyabhishek. And a person of that lineage, the Dikshit, who was there at the Pran Pratishtha of Ram Lalla in Ayodhya, he belonged to the same family. So there seems to be a continuous lineage of these Maharashtrian Brahmins who stayed there. So these tales of resilience in the wake of all those iconoclasm. So after Aibak, you had this new temple coming up, but that also was destroyed by the Jaunpur Sharki Nawabs in the 14th century, and then a large-scale demolition, complete demolition by Sikandar Lodi. And after that, about 50-60 years, the whole place was in ruins. And that was when Narayan Bhatt reconstructs the temple with the help of Raja Todarmal, who was in Akbar's service. And this Ashtamandap temple of Vishwanath was the one that Aurangzeb destroyed in 1669, between April and September of that year. So all these waves kept happening, but as was mentioned in the promo, the Hindus of Kashi never gave up. Just around the periphery, in and around the original site, a new shrine would come up. They would break that, then another shrine would come up. So it was like never say die. And compared to what happened to the Buddhist stupas and the monasteries, they were completely axed by the sword of Islamic conquest, because that depended on a monastic order. So Sarnath was right outside Kashi, and Kashi is the seat not only of Hindu faith, And in Hindu faith, various panthas, whether it is Shaiva, Vaishnava, Shakta, all the traditions, but also Buddhist traditions, because Buddha gave his first sermon in Sarnath, just outside Varanasi. So the Buddhist faith was completely eliminated after Aibak's attack. But the Hindu faith, because it did not depend on a monastic order, it kept resurfacing itself. And that story of resilience, that story of pushback by common people, not necessarily kings and royalty, in the wake of all these attacks, I think that is what is the underlying theme of resistance and courage that Kashi's history brings to fore.
So while that is extremely appreciative of the Hindu community, no doubt, there is another thought this book inspires, which is how bad the Hindus have been in writing down their history, chronicling their history. So Sadhguru, I want to come to you. Why is it so that Hindus don't write their history, don't leave something for their future generations which is not disputable, and therefore it is, for example, for historians like Vikram Sampath, so difficult to even trace the history of Kashi? And why are we so bad at this? Let's accept it.
I wish we had Vikram Sampath 1,000 years ago. We would have been better off.
So once in a millennium talent, by the way.
You can say so. But I think Hindus have, Hindi में बोलते हैं ना, आम खाओ गुटली मत गिनो. You know, to bother about what is the philosophy, what is the idea, what is the context, what is the significance of whatever we are going through, all our life's experiences. And so I think we were always interested in the philosophy part of it more than facts and statistics and dates and things like that. That's Hindu culture. And because we are much deeper when it comes to life, and we look into the significance of everything, we just don't look at the surface of it. Whereas Westerners have this bad habit of documenting everything. They moved from here to there, in which year. That may be good now because you read history, but Hindu history is poetry. Hindu history is spirituality, basically. They looked at the spiritual aspect of everything that we did. So even in these Puranas that you have quoted, I was reading through some of them. Like you say, Shiva went into an exile because Brahma claimed his kingdom, and then he had to come back doing a trick or something like that. Yes. So my question is that we worship Shiva as the Lord of the universe, as the Atma, and things like, why would he be going to exile and come back? So the idea that Brahma is the creator. He created such situations because of which Shiva had to exit Kashi, in the sense when the invaders came in or destroyed the thing. So it is a symbolism. Our history is very symbolic. Our history is coded. And one has to decipher it for oneself by understanding the context in which it has been written. So we Hindus are not bad at recording history. It's just that that's not our attitude towards history. We looked at
not our primary occupation.
No, not at all. And that's why we are all so bad at history. I don't know how many people got good marks in history. I never got any.
Talking about history, the reason I ask this question is because sometimes you wonder, would we be going through so much pain and contestation if we had better recorded history? Now, I don't know what the answer to that is, but it brings to light, this book also brings to light the obfuscation that has been going on till this day of what is recorded history and what is uncontested history. So if you look at not just the legal but also the social contestation of the reclamation of the temple site, you have, in this book, it's so funny, I was laughing in my head when I was going through it, because every few pages some new theory would come up. And these theories would range from the fact that Aurangzeb did not demolish the last temple, to that, he demolished other hundreds of temples in Varanasi, but not this. That it was, built much earlier, demolished much earlier, but at least there's an acceptance that there was a temple there. At the same time, they also insist that there was no temple there. And if Aurangzeb destroyed this temple, it was for other reasons and not religious. So you go through it and your mind is boggled as to why so many reasons come up, Vikram. And they come up to till this day in courts. Nobody is willing to accept recorded, uncontested history even.
The obfuscation that you mentioned, Shivani, I think that was all it was there even before independence. There's one case there in 1936 called the Deen Muhammad versus the state case, where it was a non-representative suit. The Hindus were not a party to it, but it was between the Muslim side and not even the Masjid committee. They in fact dragged the Masjid committee also to court. It was 5 Muslim young men who went and took the matter. They took the government to court. Saying they're not allowing us to do our prayers in the entire complex. And in that, the government gave a very clear, the British government of 1936 and 42 and all that gave a clear verdict that this is not a Waqf property. That this was not even dedicated by Aurangzeb as a Waqf property. Now, for those who may not know, you need a Waqif or a donor who can donate a property that belongs to him or her to the Supreme Allah for perpetuity. But if it doesn't even belong, it's like that Bunty Bubbly story where I go and sell Taj Mahal, which I don't own. So, it's how do you make a structure on a site that you don't have ownership of? And this was something that the British government actually took cognizance of, and the case was lost both in 1936 as well as an appeal in the Allahabad High Court in 1942. So both places it was mentioned that this is not a Waqf property. There is no farman of Aurangzeb to say, he may have had a farman to say demolish the temple, but there is no other Badshahi farman to say in its place build a mosque. And so if you see the western walls that you saw, now Aurangzeb could have very well, for the power that he was in, he was the supreme leader, so to say, of the whole country, he could have demolished the whole temple and in its place built a grand masjid. But if you see the western walls, only the shikharas or the gopurams were cut off, and in its place 3 gumbads were placed there and declared as a mosque. And every day the devout Hindus of Kashi would see that, and the amount of insult and humiliation that it would give them, that our most sacred spot, this is what has happened to it. And according to Islamic law, which in fact in the 1936 case it comes out, and the British probably don't want to enter that territory because it's very dangerous and sensitive for them. They quote Islamic law to say, you cannot offer prayers at the site of somebody else whom you have usurped. That prayer itself becomes haram. And so you cannot, if I take your house and pray, I need your consent that I'm taking your house. From today I'm going to pray there. But here there is no consent paper from the Hindu community or any Hindu Raja giving it away to the Masjid committee. So both on legal status and also the Islamic jurisprudence itself, that place was not a mosque according to what was thought of. So even when one brings all these places of worship act and so on today, what is the religious character of a place that you need to maintain as of 15th August 1947? So was it a mosque even as adjudicated by the British courts? The answer was clearly no by these 2 counts. So these contestations all the time kept going on.
No, but the history is certainly not in the favor of the mosque structure. The historical evidence is not in favor of the structure. Legal cases, as you mentioned, is not in favor of the structure. But Sadhguru, there is no acceptance. My only thing is I want to understand socially and psychologically, how do we go on when we stop accepting evidences? Because now they've been actually, what this book told me for the first time, there have been 2 ASI surveys. You may know about the current one, but there was one done some decades ago, and we didn't know about that survey till so long because it was so away from our popular consciousness, the Kashi struggle, not so much the Ayodhya struggle. But if we stop accepting recorded history or what we find scientifically, then what do we rely on? We're not relying on theology, we're not relying on social cues, we're not relying on legal cases, we're not relying on history, then what do we rely on?
Probably Aurangzeb himself has to come out of his tomb and say, yes, I did this.
Not again. Not Aurangzeb again in this. No, but I think what you made a point. I think probably if this was the case 100 years ago, we would have still been debating and fighting. But now with this whole democratic structure which is in place, and as we have seen in the case of Ram Lala's Mandir in Ayodhya, ultimately it is the documentation, it is the proofs that were produced, finally it won the case. So I think One is that aspect, you can go on debating, they can come up with more arguments against it, and then you know how lawyers are, so you can never know when it's going to end. Probably Nandi will have to keep waiting forever. But I think if you look at the whole country as such, there are sentiments involved with every place, every community, and one needs to respect that in a country that we live in today. Somewhere in his book he mentions that in 1809 or 10, when these Lat Bhairav riots were happening, one Mr. Watson observes, and that's a very significant observation. He says that while this place is disputed and both the parties are claiming their rights over it, but if you look into it, this place holds a special significance for the Hindu community, whereas it is not so in the case of the Muslims, because this place has found mention in their Puranas, in their Shastras. For thousands of years people have come and worshipped this, and there's a record of it. Even if you don't want to go by archaeological survey and the legal documents, simply the sentiments involved with that place is more important for one community because it has a history to it, it has got ancientness and probably a religious anchoring to it. Whereas for the other community it is a very recent event, and it is not as important to them from their sentiments point of view. So I think at the end of it, I hope, literally I pray and hope that this is what would ultimately find a solution to the whole thing.
But can I say, even in Ayodhya, we said the same thing. Right. It didn't happen. So it brings me to the other question that is on top of everybody's mind. A new attempt has been pitched for a resolution out of court in, for example, Mathura or Kashi. Now, given Ayodhya's experience, do you really think it's going to happen, or do we just have to let this play out in court?
That's a very complex question. And I don't know, anybody who says anything will open himself or herself to a lot of scrutiny and controversy. You see, there's a lot of bravado even now on social media, other things, that we would want to reclaim all the temples back, 40,000 temples or so. But as a historian, while that's an ideal situation to have, but do we even know what is the number? First of all, we don't have much idea about the numbers itself. Sitaram Goyalji did some seminal work a few decades ago, Hindu temples, what happened to them, and in that about 1860 or something, there are documented proof-based catalogue of this was the original site, the temple, and in its place this is the new shrine that has come up. So there is a documented list. Some say it's 20,000, some say it's 30,000, 40,000. So we first of all don't know the numbers, and at the same time this claim on the other side that just give us these three, we will keep quiet for the rest, that also I don't agree with, because who is anybody to say 3 is enough or 40 is enough or 50 is enough, right? I mean, including whether it's the Sangh Parivar or the political fronts of it, I mean, they don't have the right to make these claims away on the behalf of all the Hindus. No one's given them that right. So if there is documentary evidence, so first of all, I think the Hindu community needs to put its own house in order first before making claims to anybody. Make a catalogue of the sites where for sure you know that this is what it is. So build on Sitaram Goyalji's research, produce evidence that is available, and also see how important it is. Right? Is it a site of continuous worship that has been happening, like in the case of Kashi till 1993? In the Tehkhana, the cellar, the Vyasji ka Tehkhana, puja was going on in the cellar of the mosque. On the walls of the mosque, you had Shringar Gauri's puja, which people were doing 365 days of the year. It was only in 1993 that Mulayam Singh Yadav's government barricaded that place and stopped the worship abruptly without a government order as well. So has there been a continuous worship that is happening in that site? And did our ancestors really fight for that place? That is also very important. 700 years back, there could be some place which even our ancestors gave up perhaps and said, chalo, it's okay, let someone take it. Today, to rake that up, I don't know how feasible that will be when there is no evidence, there's no continuous worship, there's no importance. And first of all, do we know the list per se? Even if you want to go and ask you, I want to reclaim this, you will ask me, tell me what you want to reclaim. 40,000, where are the 40,000? What's the geographical locations of all this? Do you know the history of each of these 40,000? We don't know. We don't know the numbers. So Hassan Nizami, whose account I quoted, he says 1,000 temples were destroyed in Kashi. But which were the 1,000? We don't know. So it becomes a very complicated, it's a historian's job. It's an archaeologist's job to make this catalogue first and then slowly see how this can be settled. As Sadhguru rightly mentioned, one has to have a little bit of large-heartedness on both sides, I feel, if the country has to be in a state of peace and harmony.
Viewers, the Madras High Court has passed a scathing order against Udayanithi Stalin today. The DMK scion, who is also minister in his father's government in Tamil Nadu, has been accused of compromising constitutional principles by calling for the eradication of Sanatana Dharma in a speech he gave in September last year. The High Court believes that his rebukes directed at Sanatanis or Hindus are divisive and not historically founded or grounded. Though the court stopped short of accepting a plea to declare Stalin, another DMK minister, unsuitable to hold office, its ruling leaves the door open for criminal prosecution of Stalin Jr. or even his sacking from office. This is what the court said in sum today. Such divisive statements should not have been made. Udayanithi and other leaders acted against constitutional principles, equating Sanatana to dengue, malaria and HIV spreads misinformation. Verify historical facts before making remarks on Sanatana Dharma. It also went on to say that constitutional